You are now live in the BTB Gorilla Zone. I am BTB Gorilla, and we have a special guest today. I guess every time that y'all see me do this, I got a special guest, but it's a special. This is, well, I guess I would call, my OG, Johnny Bass, also my father, and businessman and entrepreneur and philanthropist in the essence of all the people that we needing help and stuff. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get into this interview conversation, and then you'll get a little bit of a background on not just obviously Mr. Bass, but on my roots and stuff. And we're probably gonna we're all getting ready to find out some stuff. I'm probably gonna learn some things that I didn't know. I might hear some things that I've heard before. We'll see. We'll see. But the BTB Revolution and the BTB Gorilla Zone. We come live from the DMV, but everything started in Philly. And for you, that's where you were born and raised. So what was Philly like in your youth?
Well, first of all, good afternoon. I appreciate being here. Just want to start by saying, yeah, it all did start for me. It started in Philadelphia, Philly, born and raised. That's where our essence starts. My father and my mother was born in Philly. For all intents purposes, for where I started from is Philly, and growing up in Philly, I was born in '63. So, you know, anybody, knowing your history, a lot of activists was running around there. We right growing up in Philly for us. I mean, looking back, it was really crazy, and a lot of it, even when we thought we were having fun, and because we were constantly running from the police, and I mean, you couldn't go across certain streets without being in another different gang's territory, and it was really, really crazy now looking back when you was actually living in it. Hey, we was just doing our thing. We ain't
Do you think it's a lot of different? Like the youth now, they have a lot more resources and things to do. I guess more mischief and harm and stuff. But do you feel like it has changed? Like the youth now has changed the heart of Philly. Like because Philly's
changed.
yeah.
And it's always been off the chain. However, with the youth, it's less respect and more accessible guns.
Right, right,
That was changed our you're talking about when I came up, the average person who had a gun, it was a zip gun, a homemade gun.
right.
You know, you had a actual manufactured gun back then, you was somebody.
So then it's actually pretty similar. So like a zip gun would be their ghost gun now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess, because to be honest, I'm not that familiar with the ghost gun,
Right.
but a zip gun was basically made from a door bolt, a piece of wood, and some rubber bands and a tube. I mean, it was literally a homemade gun, and a lot of them blew up in your face. The first guns we got on the street, they used to call them Saturday night specials. They were 32 revolvers. And a lot of them, when you shot them, the barrel didn't always line up. They were cheaply manufactured. The barrel didn't always line up the on the tubing,
Yeah.
and it was blowing up on you.
It was only good for one time.
Yeah.
No don't. No don't.
Yeah, now it's just really crazy. I mean, you got to realize violence was always there because we were gang warring. I mean, it was gang wars and prejudice wars and all. It was constant violence always around us. But the magnitude with the killings and things now is that's where it's really escalated and got out of
So, out of anything from, I guess, your childhood and your experiences in Philly, like, what do you think is like the most memorable moment?
most memorable.
Yeah.
I guess my most, I don't know, man. I guess my most memorable moments was when I started getting tailor-made, when I started getting tailor-made clothes and alligator shoes. Even back then, lizards and snakeskin shoes, getting that reputation. That's one thing we always had, man. When you came out of Philly, you had to be fly. You had,
That's funny.
as we wish to say, you excuse my French, but you had to have that shit on.
Right. No,
You know
right.
what I mean?
Right. That's funny. Like, I be hearing like a lot of people from Harlem talk like that. Like, it's like, but Harlem is like the only part of New York where,
Yeah.
they have that thing where it's like Philly as like a whole kind of had that vibe back
Right,
then.
right, right. But we had different sections. You could tell who was from North Philly, who was from Germantown because of they swag that they was wearing.
Right, right, right.
The thing about it was maintaining it and being able to hold it because, as you know, a lot of your prominent boxers came out of Philly. So I mean, Philadelphia had the best hook off the jab in the business. So you couldn't hold your hands, my man. You don't come down.
For sure. For sure. So, if you could say, because after a while, you transitioned and you moved from Philly. So, before the move from Philly, what would you say, like, through your experiences and all that stuff, the lifestyle that you would live, what do you think prepared you the most for, the next chapter of your life?
For me, I have a very unique situation because also statistically speaking, there was a lot of single parenting going on. And I was fortunate enough to come from a single parent family. I had both my parents there, and both my parents were both present and they both worked. It was a very diverse household because I had a Baptist father and a Roman Catholic mother. So,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? So, and then like back then, the father he made the bread and the mother ran the house. So we basically had to do whatever she wanted, and she had us going to Catholic school and everything. All of that presented other challenges in the hood because we wore uniforms. Everybody else wearing street clothes, so that you were targeted for that. You got to walk through the streets and you get a little tie and
So y'all was like y'all was like the Huxtable. That's what it sounds like.
right. I guess more or less. I never thought about it like that because we were literally the first black family on our block. So,
Yeah, y'all sound like the Huxtables in
yeah,
this
between
situation.
the Huxtables and the Jeffersons, we was
Yeah,
moving on.
right.
But we were
Okay.
still in the hood. Well, it became the hood while we were there.
Right.
Because, like I said, we were the first black family in a predominantly white area. So,
Okay.
so when we first moved there, and I don't recall all the incidents because I was only 9 months old when we moved in the house. But I grew up there till my adulthood, till I went to service, and I seen the whole transformation, pretty white gardens and everything, to actually gang war and homicide in front of our house in the street. Yeah.
That's wild. So what do you think caused that shift?
Man.
Because I know, like, they releasing files every day now from CIA and everything. So I'm sure we'll get them actual files. But they say that they CIA dropped off crack cocaine into the hood and it was no good. So I'm just wondering, like, it was that around the transition time or was it before then?
Well, see, I lived through all of that. And even before the crack pandemic, you had the the brothers coming back from Vietnam.
Right, right, right.
So you had a heroin pandemic, angel dust pandemic. You had It was always some pandemonium going on
Right.
way before crack. And then in our particular area, the crack was dropped off in surrounding areas. But like I said, we was in a fairly decent neighborhood, we had to go over there and get the crack and bring it. So when that came, but eventually, as everywhere else, yeah, that crack epidemic was one of the worst that I've.
But it all started around the time
Vietnam.
Vietnam and stuff.
Yeah.
Like all of what was that all about the Benjamins with Lorenz Tate?
Yes.
I think that was no Dead Presidents. Was it?
Dead Presidents.
Yeah, Dead
Yeah, when he
Presidents.
came
Yeah,
home from
right.
with the heroin addiction.
Yeah. So they don't make a lot of shows around that time frame. So it's like I kind of skip right over that in my logic. You know what I'm?
Oh yeah.
I go right to the crack pandemic, but yeah, it's like Vietnam happened first.
Right.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah. You can't leave that out.
All right. So, um, you said that you had joined the service. When you joined the Marines, what was that experience like during that time?
Oh man. True story. I joined the Marines on a bet from a bet with your Uncle Dewey. The Marines was the hardest branch of the service to go in. I was fed up at home. I was, as you can relate to, I didn't want to follow the rules at the house. That blase. I want everything right now. And so when they were running around, they were recruiting and everything. And they came to our school and they make it look all glamorous. Oh, come on, in the service, and you can go to school for free, and you gonna make this crazy money. And I'm saying none of that shit. I was very grateful that I had the experience. I believe that every young man should have that experience.
Right.
If I could do it over, I probably wouldn't, unfortunately, but that's just because I ain't doing it again. But I'm glad I did.
I know what you mean.
But what pushed me to it, like he bet me $500. He bet me $500 that I couldn't make it through basic training through the service. We said the branch of the service. I picked the Marine Corps because they had the flyest uniform. Like I said, I'm from Philly. You know, be fly.
That is fun. That is funny.
I wanted them dressed blue.
That is funny. Did you ever get the 500 from him? Did he ever
I
pay you?
did.
Okay.
I did. I got the nickel. We partied it up and spent it up. They did pay it up.
That's funny. That's what's up.
Yeah.
So, uh, being black and in the Marines in the '80s, how did that view your shape your views on discipline and respect in life in America?
Good question. Tightened up my discipline on an individual basis. I never put it in the in America like viewpoint. That's just not where my mindset was. I was as I said, by me going to Catholic school, I already had discipline instilled in me. I had both parents, so I already had discipline instilled in me. Going into the Marine Corps, it was enhanced for me because I was on my own. This was like my first time being away from home. I'm out here on my own, and I have to follow these sets of rules and regulations. The the thing that made it easier to do was because if I don't follow these rules, my man here can die. If he don't follow the rules, I can die. It was a whole different. So it wasn't even more about America. It was more about the core, our group.
Right.
And it just so happened we were defending America.
Right. No, I get
To
what
be honest.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're
Um,
saying.
but the respect that we got, because you got to remember, it was still crazy prejudice everywhere.
Right.
Okay, crazy prejudice. My first A school, I ended up daggone throwing this white boy over the daggone balcony. From day one, and after that, it was all respectful. We weren't white and black no more. We was all light green and dark green.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it even narrowed down the prejudiceness within that group. That's how the core got so tight because like on the street, I would never got along with
Right.
you. But now we living independent on each other, which forced us to get along, and that bond went outside of the core once we, you know, moved on in life. So it did affect us dramatic. And then it depends on where you're stationed at. Like I was blessed to go out to California. Uh it was a lot more liberal out there.
Right.
And California, they was a very fast paced place, but they were like 3 years behind. So coming from Philly, yeah, y'all moving fast, but y'all super slow. My God, my thing was trying to stay focused on the core because this money out here,
going on.
I can get my hustle on out here, and
That's funny. That's funny.
yeah.
So even with all of that coming from hustling and moving around in the youth to going to the Marine Corps, you even did a lot of mechanic stuff. So it's like, how do you manage switching hats?
I just I I just really have to just give it to God. It's the only way that I can explain it. Because as you say, I've had such a diverse life, and I mean, I done done everything from, like you said, I started working on bikes, working on cars, working on machinery, to oh my God, working for the board of education, doing utility work, and I mean, and went through all of that. And at that time, I was still street minded. So even when I was still working, I still was hustling. That hadn't gotten out of me yet, just to keep it real. It was just like, because in our mind, the way we were raised, and the way society had us suppressed, there was no way that a black man in America could fulfill his dreams and make his life working. I mean, I don't unless you working 24 hours a day, you working 3 jobs, not getting no rest, and you be dead before you still get rich. There was no way to get that what they call the American dream. You could make enough money to live nice in the hood, or you could make enough money to have nice things, but you were never going to have that generational wealth. So that's why we always had a hustle. It's just that later on in life, my hustle became my entrepreneur,
Right.
on the legality side of things. And it took me years to get to that point, but
That's
thank
funny.
God I made it.
I could dig that. I
Thank
could dig
God
that. So, well, branching off into that, then. So, when starting a cleaning business in Ocean City, what lessons from the Marine Corps and from the hustle of life did you bring into how you run a business?
Anybody who's ever been out there in the street, anybody who ever sold a nickel bag of weed, or or was at the red lights washing people's windows for coins. Anybody who had any type of hustle,
Hmm.
all of that can be applied to business. What clicked in me was, um, I'm not bragging. I'm not saying I'm the most intelligent person in the world, because I'm not. Trust me, I made plenty of mistakes. But my mentality was, I can take this little bit of product, slice it and dice it and put it out on the street, and within 90 days, that little bit of product, whole lot of product. I went from feeding myself to needing workers to help me distribute this. So the streets had already instilled in me a business plan that I didn't even realize. Starting the cleaning company, that was just like, it was almost like a no brainer. It's like you buy low, sell high. You start a business that you need low capital with high gain. There was nothing out here, especially down here on the shore. This was like really like a real untapped market. It's been a business going on, but how can I say, to adjust it to be able to make it a real profitable business for a black person, it was really like untapped.
Right, right.
You know,
Yeah, wasn't a lot of cleaning.
No, and then when they were all overpowered by a big white group. Somebody. You look at the check signing, it was going to be some white person there that was running on it.
Right.
So that's what motivated me. I'm like, man. And then the dollar store made it even easier because you can go get cleaning products for the real low, and then you can make crazy money as long as you was willing to work. See, that's the other part. You had to put the work in. Cause see, I was going at that time. We were going down when we started. We go down Ocean City and we leaving here like 6 in the morning. But it wasn't no leaving at 5 o'clock coming home. Might not be getting home till 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Just like any craft, you had to put the work in.
For sure.
But yeah, it pays off.
I respect that. I respect that. So looking back, what's the one hustle in your life that you've gotten into that you wish you never got into, and why?
I'd have to say the drug game. Uh, it's a bittersweet, but the drug game, I said that's my biggest regret because so many of my friends, my family members, and friends of my family have been affected by it in a negative way. Um, you know, I have family members who have died over this stuff. I have family members, some that's still strung out on it. I have a couple of them that's still out there and still doing prosperous in the business. But as you know, I have like a guilt about that whole situation because I believe that you wouldn't have went into some of the situations you've been in. I wouldn't have. My whole family wouldn't have had to go through some of the headaches that they had to go through if it wasn't for the drug.
Hey, I can't say no about that.
So that's where I'm at with that.
Nah, I could dig that. I could dig that. Um, so what's the real key to staying afloat for you when life keeps throwing you curveballs?
Prayer, 100% all the time. I constantly pray, and just to be totally transparent, I'm a devoted Christian. I mean, I'm a God fearing man. And if it wasn't for God, man, He's just been there so many times to pull me through, and He has just shown me that, hey, everything is possible with Him. Nothing's possible without Him. When you mix that with a father, my father's motto. Oh my God, he used to, man made it, man can master it. As soon as you go to say, oh, I can't, my dad would make you feel like a girl. No, I ain't gonna cry. I'm gonna get this thing
Uh,
done. So you had all that mentality and things.
that's what's up. That's what's up. I think that's a good one. I think I think that's a lot of people. They don't have like you don't hear too much about faith too much. Nowadays you do still have people, your entertainers that will still go out there and first and foremost giving God His, but
Right.
that is falling back a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like there's not a lot as much of that going on now.
Yeah. To be honest though, I believe you're getting ready to see a lot more of it come back with the way this world is now. The people who we have. I'm not even gonna say who the people we have running the world, the people we have who are so called in charge. That's yeah, I totally get it.
So you were your favorite thing to do when you were like was dice as far as in any type of gambling, right?
That was my yeah.
You go
Crab was my go-to.
right.
I would play poker. I would play cards. I would do other things, but there's a crap game going on. That's where I'm at.
Bet that up, bet that up. So, what's the craziest bet that you've ever placed? Like, and what's the biggest pot that you've ever been in? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh
what's
my
you
God.
know what I'm saying? What's the? Give us that story. That's.
Oh Lord, have mercy. It's been some doozies, man. Oh my God, man. It's been some doozies. Dang on. Not throwing nobody else under the bus over. Me and my crew have been in some games where we have pooled our money and started off with $12 or $13 and left out that club with 8, 9 racks. Yeah. My biggest my biggest hoorah was actually my longest run. It was I forget which year it was, but it was one of my birthday weekends. And me and your Uncle Do, we started off on that Friday down back in the hood, and we knocked that crap game off. Well, he didn't gamble. He was throw him the money. I throw him the money. He stand behind me and hold the pistol. And one time the pistol was a pink pistol. That's another story. But yeah, that time we started off Friday night. We broke 2 crap games in the hood. We got in the car. We went to Atlantic City. We won crazy money in AC. We came back, bought clothes and everything, went to the clubhouse and nailed the motorcycle club.
Damn.
That whole weekend we did not, and during the midst of all that, we hit the number. Yep. We
Okay.
had played the number Friday. We didn't even know we hit the number until Monday.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, no, that's a good weekend.
Yeah, we had
That's
a
a
good
good
week.
weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah, Uncle Do was real cool though. He was real
he
cool.
was live. He
Yeah,
was.
I think if he was around now, he would definitely enjoy like life and stuff to that and all that stuff. Man. I
Yeah.
think he would be.
He would be here with you. I never would find him. Even though
Yeah.
you're older than me, he was always young at heart. He would be right here with you, blazing and chilling. I'd never find him. I could always find him. He'd be right there.
So, all right, you work with the public defender's office. So, how did that change how you see people on the edge of the system?
Man, real talk, man. The public defender's office. So everybody was shocked when I got that. But the public defender's office gave me a whole new insight, and it was one of my other than owning my own company, that was one of my most rewarding jobs because I was got to a position where I could help my people.
Right.
And that's everything that we do. I mean, and I know it sounds like it might have an arrogant sound to it, but when I put that Johnny Bass shit on it, it was just like you can do things that people don't normally do.
Right now.
I was running around. I had judges, little judges, councilmen around the courthouse. He's like, oh, hey, here come JB. JB just said, yeah, we're running my, you know what I mean? I could use the judge's bathroom. Now, you know what I mean? It was like my balls. This stuff was unheard of. Because I was doing intake and doing some investigation work for the public defense. And you would have thought I'd run the day I was a lawyer or something, man.
Right.
So, but I got to help my people. When I go to intake those people, I could move their move their files around, make sure that they got an attorney that was going to actually work with them, help them out.
No, for real though. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
look, that be needed because sometimes you don't you get lost up in that system
Mm.
fast.
And yeah, because it's a paper shuffle. Yeah, yeah.
All right, so if you had 30 seconds to drop a gem for someone starting from nothing, what would it be?
30 seconds. Once someone starts,
Nothing.
get the education, learn all you can learn, whatever that you want to do, and get you a mentor that's already stepped through the steps that you are trying to go through, and surround yourself with people that seem like things are out of your reach. You know, that's my best advice to you. Um, and Anybody who sees this that has any ambition of going into the cleaning business or anything like that, hey, holler at me because I'm willing to do the steps that nobody did for me. Nobody gave me the blueprint on, oh, charge this.
I haven't heard that. That was good. Yeah, that was good. So, what's what's a one untold story that you haven't shared with anyone?
I don't know. Whatever it is untold for a reason.
I can dig that. That's funny. All right, I can dig that. If you could relive any decade of your life, which one would it be, and what would you do differently, if anything?
I could relive
Any decade.
any decade in my life, it would be my service.
Hmm.
I dropped the ball there because I didn't finish. Believe it or not, because at this where I'm at right now, I could still be doing everything that I'm doing right now, and I could still have an income. And I blew a lot of opportunity there. That's all. That's I was still young. I was still mindset. I wasn't grounded well enough to follow through like I should have, and I just missed a lot of opportunity there, which has me now in my 60s doing things that I could have accomplished in my 20s and 30s.
I can relate to that. I can relate to that.
I'm getting ready to be 62 in a few weeks, and I'm still have a mortgage, a
Yeah,
new mortgage. That's just something that should have been done.
right.
you know,
No, I can dig
things like
that.
that.
Yeah, I can dig that. I definitely think that. Yeah, because I'd have re- I'd have retired from the army at 37. So I'd be retiring in a couple of years.
You
Yeah,
know,
I'd be retiring in a couple of years. That'd been cool.
right, right.
That was a good one too.
Yeah,
What do you think? What do you think is something that people assume about you that is way off
I'm rich.
the
I have a never-ending supply of money. Even my children seem to have this impression. It can be far
mark?
from the truth.
You
And then, I mean, I'm saying it in a joking manner, but as you know, I mean, people tell me all the time, "Dad, you always matching. You always fly. You this, that, and other. You look." And yes, I admit, looking as a young man looking at somebody in my position, I'd be saying the same thing. Dang, dude got it together. He banked up, whatever. But no, it'd be some real rough times. But yeah, that is the biggest one. That one, and just my laughter, my smile, my attitude on life make it seem like, oh, everything I got it all together every day of the week and everything. And oh, he's so happy go lucky. And no, man, when the lights goes out and the doors closed, and I mean, still got that same things to deal with everybody
I definitely understand.
else.
I definitely understand. Um. All right. So this one here, this is an important.
Okay.
If you had to tell your grandkids or the next generation one thing to remember you by, what would it be?
Dedication to family and dedication to yourself. Stay true to yourself. You're going to succeed. And as you succeed, you're going to take care of your family. Those two things are going to go hand in hand. And whatever your belief, whether your belief is whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, whatever your belief is, stay true to who you are. Treat people as you want to be.
Dig that. I can dig that. So, with all your experiences, if someone wrote a book about your life, what do you think the title should be?
The scrambled eggs with Johnny Bad. My God, man. Wow. What's that be? how it was, how it is, how it's gonna be.
Okay. Well, it was how it is and how it's no, no doubt.
Yeah, 'cause I can't put a title, I can't put an ending title on it. See, that leaves it open because it's not over yet.
I like that. I like
So,
that. That's fire. I like that. I
you
do
know,
like that. I do like that. That was the gist of it. I do have some extra bonus stuff that because you just happen to be alive during a historical period of time, because of like the Black Panther movement and
oh
different
man,
things like that.
yeah, yeah,
And it's and I know that that you might know some things about that, but
right,
it's like
right.
I don't know the time frames and stuff. I feel like that like you'd have been you would have been young when the Black Panthers were around, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, I was young and grew into adulthood. You got to figure that. Well, the founders of the Black Panther, Bobby Seale and Huey Newton. Bobby Seale lived 3 doors down. Bobby Seale was our brother, and Uncle Dewey was in the Black Panthers with them. When they was stationed out in California. So it's always been a part of our lives. You know. So yeah, we grew up in that era and with those people. That was another touchy situation because yeah, some of the older members of our family didn't even support or believe in some of the actions that the brothers and sisters in the Panthers was doing. So, during our younger years, it was still things, so we want to go out there and march and fight with them too.
Okay.
So we
Okay.
weren't even allowed to participate in that because real talk. They go out there, they carrying guns, they out there for the cause and everything. It's days that you might not be coming home. Your parent, they like, well, no, you already got your older brother and them out there. We don't need you out. So it was a
So
little struggle with that.
it's wild living. I mean, I can only imagine you saying it. I'm like picturing movies and stuff where I've seen them walking through and with the leather jackets and the pens
Yes,
and the shotguns and
and that's
stuff.
real.
And
That's
it's
real.
like,
I can't even. I can't find half of the pictures, but got pictures with your Uncle Dewey and them, man, with their rifles and their guns, and him and Bobby and Huey and them, man. Got pictures of them out there in real time, man. Angela Davis and all of them out there.
yeah,
These things that a lot of rappers like with Tupac and them was rapping about. We lived that life. I came through that era where his mom was.
well, that's why I said this was a bonus section.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I had the bonus feature on that
Yeah.
thing. Like, you got to take it back to the old DVD days. Like,
Yeah.
if you've made it through
If
that,
you made it through
then
that.
you get the bonus.
Well, thank God we made it through that because that's another thing that needs to be known and heard because so we have actual family members that pioneered these super mega movements,
Right.
and it's just real.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So, seeing the fight for civil rights then versus now, how does it feel seeing how far we've come and how far we still have to go?
Keeping it a buck, yes, it does feel good that we have come a long way. However, we have come nowhere near as far as we're made to believe we had.
Right.
Okay. I'm like, prejudiceness is still a very real thing. As a parent, especially, well, now it's with any child, but when my era, having a son was so nerve wracking because every time he leave out that door, you like, is he gonna make it back? You
Right.
know what I mean? Where I supposed to teach their kids, yeah, you go get your permit, go get your driver's license, and go on about your business. But we got to teach our kids, look, when you get pulled over, you put your hands here. You don't, you know what I mean? It's a whole different, and this is real.
No, it is. I
If you
know what
don't
you mean.
pass this information down, you mess around and don't have your child coming back home.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I
So
I
we
get
do have a long way to go. Let's not make no mistake about it. And not trying to get political or nothing. The route that the route that the people are so-called in charge now are trying to take it back several decades.
right. Do you think that do you think that as like more or less for like as black people, do you think that once we went we did what's the expression took two steps forward and three steps backward?
A lot, yeah, to some degree, yes. To some degree, yes. And our main, oh my God, and I hate to say it, the old scenario still stands true. Our main problem is our crab mentality. What I mean by that, for those who don't know, is like when you have a basket of crabs, one is trying to get out. All of them will try to. They will be pull and push every other crab to the bottom of the basket to get out. And that's how we do, and every other nationality willing to share the wealth, help the next group get there. We still have not overcome that.
I can definitely definitely dig that. I mean, it's a lot of that going on, especially in the industry and stuff, entertainment industry. That's why I guess we have all this stuff going on with all these gatekeepers and
Right,
all
right,
that good stuff.
right,
But
right.
I think that was cool though. I feel like that was like a like we have to do a
To
another
follow up,
yeah
yes. I would love to, man. I really would. I'm like, it's just this conversation is just tricking so many things in my mind. Man, we can take this off into to segments. I mean, it's like this
Most
thing could be
stuff.
a series. We could have a mini series.
Most stuff. We
But
gotta get some of the fam to come down and stuff.
definitely, and I want to try to find um, our cousin was taping mommy a lot of her history. She
Mhm.
was talking into a cassette recorder. She'll be 95 in June, and so she has seen
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah, I talked to my mom about a lot of stuff when I be riding with her and stuff, man. My mom, we talk. She told me a bunch of stories.
She done got to live through mommy and Uncle Sonny and them were actually doing sit-ins at the soda shop in the plate of Maryland. So they went from doing segregation sit-in to her living to see the first black president. It's like really, really remarkable, And that's why this little property and stuff that we have around here like means so much because just because of the heritage and everything for for these little properties that we have to still be in our family. You know what I mean? It's just like amazing, amazing because that's something that just doesn't go on. They grow up, they move away. Everybody's about the dollar.
That is a big fact. Well, look like you got stuff going on.
Man,
So,
always, man.
so I appreciate your time.
Oh man, I appreciate you having me here. I can't wait to see how crazy this thing looks for that air.
It's not gonna be too bad. It's not gonna be too bad.
That's
With
what's up.
that, this has been an episode of the BTB Gorilla Zone that I think many people enjoy on many levels. We about to get up out of here, and yeah, make sure you guys tap in and view the full episode. And yeah, there should definitely be more to come.